Hello guys, and welcome back to the 20th Century Dude channel. For all you returnees, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about something that not a lot of people tend to agree on, or let alone think about. And that is, I think Solo, A Star Wars Story is the best Disney Star Wars movie released to date. And no, I'm not kidding. Now, I know that you all are thinking that, oh, I'm not a real Star Wars fan, you like a really bad film, etc. But it might not be as bad as what you originally thought. I even think it's better than the likes of RogueOne, and I really enjoyed that flick. As far as placement in the Disney era, I would say Solo is slightly above RogueOne and tops all the sequels because, let's face it, those movies fucking suck. Overall, the only movies I think are better than Solo are obviously the entire original trilogy and Revenge of the Sith. Other than that, that's about it. Well, unless Spaceballs counts, but I guess since this is a spoof, nobody really counts it as a Star Wars movie, but okay, we'll leave that one out. Anyway, for starters, I actually was more hyped for this film than RogueOne and the likes of Rise of Skywalker. Now, for me, when RogueOne trailers and merchandise were released to the public, I didn't really know what to think about it. It didn't look terrible, but I wasn't too excited to see it at the time. I was so used to the episode installments that the trilogies had that the idea of individual films kind of caught me off guard. I was originally against it because we had things like the holiday special, if that actually counts as a film, and the Clone Wars pilot movie, and that movie was just a bad introduction to an otherwise great show, and it's probably one of the reasons I didn't finish the Clone Wars for the longest time. But after RogueOne released, I did end up liking it even more than The Force Awakens the previous year. I think it was also due to the fact that Han and Chewie were characters I was familiar with, which probably helps. I would have also suspected that Boba Fett would have made a cool cameo, but ultimately it never happened. Now for Rise of Skywalker hype, I don't know what to say. I mean, there wasn't too much to get excited for. It really should have been the Endgame, bigger than Endgame, the event of the century, but it kind of wasn't, unfortunately. I mean, in the end, I was hoping that it would kind of fix the other two sequel installments and make things at least more cohesive and more likable, so to speak. And that maybe it wouldn't be one of the best Star Wars films of all time, but it could at least have been the best sequel in the sequel installments, and, well, it just wasn't. I think it's one of the only films I've ever walked out angry and, like, wanting to throw things, but oh well, it's in the past now. Anyway, I should probably get back to Solo. Number one, it does a really good job. In fact, both anthologies actually do a really good job of tying into the animated show's lore of the time, and this goes beyond Darth Maul's minute-long cameo in the show. Honestly, if you had watched the Clone Wars and you saw the criminal syndicate called, well, I think it was the Shadow Alliance or something like that he was building, this does make sense. Now, as far as Rebels goes, this does get messy, as it makes no mention of Crimson Dawn, and Maul is stranded on Malachor for some reason. Now, I would assume that Kira might have dumped him there in order to take over Crimson Dawn for power-hungry reasons, but hopefully if this is the case, this does get explained. We do go back into the criminal underworld aspect of things, as Rebels and Clone Wars did, and we even get to pay a visit to Kessel. So I think if you did watch the TV shows, even with new additions like The Bad Batch and The Mandalorian, this does make watching Solo even better. Also, Alden Ehrenreich and Donald Glover were also great in this film. I know people were concerned about the young actors, but I wasn't at all. I am glad Alden had the best mix he could possibly do between making the character his own and reflecting on Harrison's Han Solo. Ultimately, Ford is still the best Han Solo nonetheless. He was also his acting coach, so that should really tell you something. I don't think the doubts about these characters really became a problem at all, because I don't know, I just kind of liked what we got. The casting overall was also great, and the chemistry between actors and actresses I thought worked better in RogueOne. The movie was great, and I liked the character selections there. Unfortunately, even though most of them died, but the acting did appear kind of wooden at times, and that's probably due to the reshoots for Rogue One. Thirdly, I don't think it dissed on the saga like The Last Jedi did, and wasn't nearly as clumsy and stupid like The Rise of Skywalker. Those movies really didn't know what to do with Star Wars, and it's probably why I don't like them very much and rank them very low. Solo is a film for the fans, so it's still something to appreciate. Also like that it's not another, oh no, we gotta save the galaxy from the Empire again, and there's another planet-killing weapon, because Disney really hashed on planet-killing weapons way too much. We had, like Star Destroyer, like Death Star things, and then we obviously put the Death Star back in Rogue One, and then there was Star Killer Base and The Force Awakens. It was a bit much, and honestly, I think we probably could have skipped on Star Killer Base and The Force Awakens. It just ultimately was unnecessary, and in the long run, kind of pointless, since they had the Star Destroyer Death Stars anyway. It's a nice self-contained conflict, and the Empire isn't really a threat, which I did think was pretty interesting, and it worked. Lastly, it seems like the special effects for this movie, like Rogue One, actually are better in the sequel trilogy, or maybe that's just my eyes looking at it. I thought the anthologies had a better blend and balance between practical and CG effects. The Last Jedi had a weird, bland look, so they probably didn't touch up on the 3D models and whatnot. And the J.J. Abrams installments weren't as practical as what we were told. I do wish this film, shot on film stock, even if they wanted to go to like 16mm for a rougher look, which I think would be kind of epic, not gonna lie. Also, I know people hate the lighting at the beginning of the film, but I didn't think it was too distracting. It probably could have been fixed in post, but ultimately, I think it's that big of an issue. Solo also has my favorite Star Wars movie score out of all the Disney movies. We got Han Solo's theme from John Williams, which was a nice addition, and it was composed by John Powell, who did the How to Train Your Dragon movie soundtracks, and knows they're great to listen to, so no disappointment here. Now, there's not to say that I don't have nitpicks when it comes down to this film. After all, I would prefer that Chewbacca doesn't eat people, and that maybe Jabba could have made an appearance, although maybe it's a good thing, because he probably would have been CGI, and we know what those monstrosities looked like in the special editions, especially the 97s. Yeah, we don't need to revisit that. I also would have preferred to maybe have seen Chewbacca's home planet, and maybe even his family if we could. And lastly, that we can reinsert the deleted scene of Han Solo actually getting demoted from being a pilot. I think that does clear up a lot of things in the plot, and probably should have been put in the final movie. Overall, that's my opinion on Solo. I do have an underrated opinion here. Nobody else probably thinks of it as I do. It's better than a lot of people say. It's certainly better than the sequels, so don't get me wrong about that. Even if you don't like it better than Rogue One and whatnot, that's okay. It's not the best film ever. In my opinion, it's the 5th best of the Star Wars movie. I'm just surprised that in about a year or so, this film was going to be about 5 years old. It didn't seem that long ago that I remember catching the teaser the day after the Super Bowl, all those years ago. So the fact that it's going to be almost 5, that's just, I don't know, it feels kind of weird. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Stay safe, come back soon, and may the Force be with you.